See, now that leads me to my next topic. How many people like the Vic Fangio hiring as D coordinator? How many people like it? Your brand new defensive coordinator. Steve goes, I do. Steve, why? He's solid. Prince is, I hate the scheme. I do. We need stability and experience. It is a good take. Can't be any worse. I don't like either hiring. Too early to tell in May. Actually, I'm not even asking about results yet. I'm asking about his scheme and the personnel you have, more so than anything. Why would he come in and change up? So let me ask you this. Let's do a smart thing here. Where have they spent their highest draft choices at on defense? What was Josh Sweat? Fourth round? Was Sweat a fourth rounder? Was Sweat a fourth rounder? Well, wait a minute. No, you haven't drafted anything of any significance compared to the defensive line. You're talking about the 9th pick and 13th pick versus the 22nd and 40th. What are you talking about? It's a drastic difference. A top 10 kid versus a 22nd player taken. This guy was drafted down near Nolan Smith. It's not the secondary. So Josh Sweat, 4th round, 5th round? First round, Jordan Davis. First round, Jalen Carter. First round, Nolan Smith. I like it. Culture change was needed. I think Fangio installs that. Wrong system. Even Brandon Graham's still on the team, first rounder. So you have 1 4th rounder and 4 first rounders in your defensive line. Let's take a look at your linebackers and what you've drafted. Jacoby Dean, 3rd. Who else? You have no equity in your linebacker core. Let's take a look at your secondary. Who have you drafted at safety? Reed Blankenship's a free agent. Sidney Brown? Who else? You drafted a corner now, 22, and you got a guy who I don't think is a corner, but let's put him there, 40. Trotter, 5th. So you got a 3rd and a 5th rounder in your inside linebackers that you drafted. And in your defensive line, you've got a 4th and 4 1s. Why are you going to a 34? Your better players are in your front, not in your linebacking. And you're undersized. Why would this guy put a scheme together when you don't have the people yet? Help me make that. You know what they said about, get this. So a guy like Trotter is going to struggle with a 330-pound OG on him. He doesn't have the luxury of having a tackle, defensive tackle in front of him to keep those guys off him. He doesn't have that luxury. And God forbid Jordan Davis doesn't play the nose well. you'll be the worst run defense in pro football, like 304 said. This comes down to that nose, too. Davis has to be a stud like Villa down there. The NFL has become a pass-heavy league. He's right. So his scheme could be successful with the right players. Even though I hate the scheme, we are DB heavy. And I thought D-line heavy. Hey, Prince, if you're going to run that scheme and you're not going to blitz and you invested all those first rounders in your front, what are you doing? Going to a 3-man front. You're going to sit a first rounder, right? He's been involved 3 years and has his guys. I keep telling you that, Sills. You think these are his guys? Every single one of those linebackers he has are undersized and can't play the run. If you're going to play a 34, your nose has to be exceptional. Or I won't throw the ball on you. Why in the world would I throw the ball on you in that opener if I got Josh Jacobs and I can just run the ball at you? Why? And being third and short the entire game. And have Jordan Love only throw 25 passes, run the ball 35 times when you can't stop the run with 3 guys versus 5 guys, and you're counting on Jordan Davis to be the run plug stopper. That's still a debate if he can play that position, let alone Milton Williams. Do you understand? I don't have to throw the ball on you. Are you going to bring those linebackers and corners up a little closer? No. Why? He plays zone defense. Zone defenses don't bring your corners up. This is a scheme thing. Hey, you're more set up for a 4-3, in my opinion. That's why I think that him coming in here and putting a 43 in or 34 in and not going to the forefront that they had a couple of years ago and played out of a bear front many times. If you're not going to bring pressure, he's not. It's not what he does. You don't have Roquan. Like, look, who's that big horse Baltimore has in the middle? And look at their triangle. It's called a triangle. James, follow me here. Who's that nose guard that the Ravens have? Who's that nose guard they have up there? What's that kid's name? And look what they had last year in the triangle. Triangle's a nose and your 2 linebackers. This is how this looks. This is the heart of your defense. Right there, what I'm showing you right here. This right here is the heart of your defense. There's your nose and your 2 backers. Michael Pierce. Okay. Sills, man, the draft is luring everyone into a false sense of security. They are luring. Clown Sirianni's still here. Eagles missed the playoffs. A defense is going to hurt. Clint Hurt can get this together. If anybody can, it's him, along with the help of Vic. I don't think Vic is not set in stone running a 34. Could be a variation of nickel, Steve. Could be is going to run a 34-43 depending on who we play. That could be too. But remember this. You got that kid Pierce in Baltimore. A pretty good run stopper. But last year you had Patrick Queen and you had Roquan Smith. That's a far cry from the Kobe Dean and Devin White and Jordan Davis. It's not in the same room. That's not in the same conversation. It's just not in the same conversation. Or like even last year, the rookie linebacker, along with the other one that they just gave a contract extension to in Tampa, you got Vita Vea in the middle, and you got that. Look at their triangle. Look at your triangle. Terrible linebackers and a suspect nose who hasn't played that position yet. So teams are going to attempt to run the ball on you first. They're not going to throw it. They're going to run the ball. Because remember, control and contain is Vic's mentality. He doesn't want to give up the plus 25 play. He doesn't care about giving up chunks of yards when it comes to running the ball. The question is going to be, can they sustain that? A team like Green Bay, like in the opener, when you play the Packers, I think the Packers O-line's not great. I think it's a great matchup, actually. Bakhtiari is no longer there. They had a drafted kid, if I'm not mistaken. Green Bay, didn't they draft a kid in the first round? Or did they get that? Who did Green Bay get? Yeah, they got the OT from Arizona. They had to because they had to replace Bakhtiari. I don't think their old line is sensational. So it could be a decent matchup. But you're going to go to a 34 that you haven't run, really, when it comes to teams that are going to attempt to run the ball. And you fell apart last year because Patricia's scheme was terrible. A lot of that had to do. Seals, did Georgia play at 34? That's a great question, James. I think it was a variation. Kirby Smart's he's a pretty good coach on that side of the ball. I think it was a variation with a bear at times. And when they got into nickel, they put 4 down. I think it went 4 down on nickel and 3rd down, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that lined up over shades when it came to 1st and 2nd down. It looked more like a 34. They had a lot of good-looking linebackers down there. And it was kind of a chameleon defense, I think. If I'm not mistaken, if I look at that Georgia defense, it's kind of a chameleon defense. You know, if things in the game are going well, they go 43. If, players are getting open in the passing game, they'll start to do a little more 34. They got so many versatile players at Georgia. They can mix it up on you like that. And maybe that's what Vic is going to do here. Mix it up on you. That's why he's got Josh Sweat in the second team. Maybe Sweat comes in on a 4 down and he rushes the passer. Senor put up some really great numbers where, last year, Josh Sweat almost had 900 snaps. The next closest guy was 480. This guy played like 2 seasons almost. It's a ton of snaps for somebody. Sills, what do you think of that guy, Keegan? I love the pick. It's my favorite pick of the Eagle draft. It is. It's my favorite pick. Hey guys, please do me a favor. Please hit the like button. I appreciate it very much. We're trying to get to 200 likes. Thank you guys, please. When they have Fangio, the number one priority should have been playing to Jalen Carter's strengths. 34 hurts him. Yeah, because you know what? And Anthony, to your point, now he has to set the edge instead of just getting up the field on a 3 technique. It's a great observation. It is, because now when you have these defensive ends in a 34, what's your biggest – what my biggest fear would be in a 34 if I played a defensive line is giving out my outside shoulder. Team's running wide on me. Man, that's a cardinal sin. What you want to do when you're an end and you play in that 34, you'd rather have – and teams are going to try to run the stretch play on you. You want to make sure you keep this hand, your outside shoulder, free. When you're playing out there, you want that outside shoulder free. Why? Because you don't want to give up. You'd rather have the play run back inside to what? Traffic and pursuit. You get your pursuit running. I'm trying to make sure everybody, if I'm an end, and I don't really think that that's a skill set that I want Jalen Carter doing. I want him getting up the field like he did early on in the season last year and getting penetration and splitting the guard center or the guard tackle. I don't like that mentality that I'm going to put him out there in a position where he's got to defend the wide side of the field at 325 pounds. Really? And you can't put Nolan Smith out there on these tackles or Bryce Huff. They'll get murdered. This is why I don't get the hiring of Fangio here. Not because Vic sucks. It's because the personnel doesn't look like it fits. This is, again, it's not that Vic sucks. I don't think he has the people to do it with. And yet you're trying to jam a round peg in a square hole here. Why would you put Milton Williams, who's played the majority of his Eagle career inside, on the outside to set the edge so teams don't run wide and run the stretch play on you. You really want to put Jalen Carter, who showed incredible get off, into a position where he has to read and react? I don't want Jalen Carter reading and reacting. I want him get the fuck up the field, create havoc, knock guys off their blocking lanes, get back there, hit that quarterback. You're going to have these guys defending the stretch play. Milton Williams. How much does Milton Williams play at? What weight does he play at? I'd be curious to know. Is he 260? So you're going to line up. How do you think Milton Williams would do against Lane Johnson or Trent Williams? He better be over 280. Seals, the defense needs to be top 12 overall with a top 8 rush. That's going to be hard in a 34. Top 8 against run means LBs are producing. True. Okay? Mr. International, 285 is not awful. You can live with that. Especially if you're fast and you got good feet, and I think Milton does. Seals, I read an article saying that Fangio's scheme doesn't one gap or two gap, but gaps and a half. Can you explain the difference? I don't know how that works that way when you're not two gapping and you're playing in a 34. I played in a 34, in a traditional 34, which meant this. If you're the nose, you can't just do this. You can't put Jordan Davis on a shade on the center. You know what will happen? He'll get slipped and scooped, which means he'll reach you, slip you, and he's onto the second level. And guess what? You're turned, and the center has you blocked. The back guard comes in, and he scoops you, and that linebacker is now got the center in his face. Two gapping is you got to keep that guy from getting up on the backers. That's your number one responsibility. When you play the nose in a 34, your number one responsibility is not making tackles. This is really why they're putting Jordan Davis in this position, is that he's not being asked to make tackles or sacks. He's being asked to keep those guys off. It's a slug job. Now, if you're great at it, you could have a Hall of Fame career like Vince Wilfork. Don't shit on it. I mean, you can have a Hall of Fame career like that. 3 Super Bowls, one of the better interior nose guys in the last 20 years with Vince Wilfork. He's going to get consideration for the National Football League Hall of Fame or the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But he's not being asked to pass rush. He's not being asked. Now, here's one thing that I think he could be really good at: bull rushing. I think he could be a good bull rusher on a center, especially a new center. Got to snap the ball, test his ass out. You know, Mark Stepnowski struggled at that mightily because he went from guard to center, and he couldn't get his hand up quick enough to get down that nose guard. And Mark had to work hard at it for him to be able to play that center position, which he eventually ended up mastering. Sills, Saragusa was spectacular. Here's another. Get this too. I don't think Tony Saragusa was drafted. I think he was a UDFA, and he went to the Colts, and then he went to Baltimore. I think that's how that transition worked for him. So is that way? Yeah, that's why Saragusa had a job. That's right. He wasn't asked to pass rush. Actually, this could really elevate Jordan Davis's career to 34. But I think you're hurting Carter in the process when you do this. I do. I think you hurt him in the process. Sills, I think Vic is going to run a mass 34. I wouldn't put that by him. Not a straight up 34. So you don't think he just lines up traditional 34? Like have Huff on the strong edge option to cover. David, Carter, Milton, Williams on the other edge with Nolan Smith. Whew. A lot of question marks though there. But But I'll tell you this too, Senor, let's be positive here. You put Nolan Smith in a different position. You put him in a different scheme. I'd be an asshole to say that that wouldn't be something that I'd want to take a look at. Maybe Nolan Smith was in a different and not in a scheme that fit his skill set a year ago. Can that show that a player is not good if he's in a bad scheme? Absolutely. I told you the story before about a guy. Do you guys remember Burt Grossman? I even think Burt played a little bit of Eagle football for you guys. Do you guys remember Burt Grossman? I think Burt played for the Eagles a little bit. I played with the Chargers, and he went to the University of Pittsburgh. Okay? He went to Pittsburgh. And Burt told me something real interesting, and I hadn't thought about it. But then again, guess what? Remember when Rich McKay came on? Okay? Remember when he came on? Well, Grossman said this to me. He goes, my first 2 years in the NFL, I had 10 sack years. Burt was a first-round draft choice. And he played in this 34. And he was, played in a forefront. They had 20 sacks. Bobby Ross comes in. They went to a 34. And guess what happened? He went down to 3, 4, 2, was never productive again. The scheme didn't fit his skill set. Rich McKay came on here and says, we screwed up Sileo. Sileo was a one-gap tackle when he was at Miami. He wasn't a nose guard two-gapper. I'd never two-gapped in my life. I was a fast kid, quick off the ball, quick first step guy. That's why I played for Jimmy. Same as Jerome. Jerome didn't two-gap in Philly for Buddy. He got up the field. We know how many times you hear Seth Joyner come on the program and do this. He would turn to Seth and go, I'm gone. You know what Seth means to Seth? Seth's got to cover 2 gaps. He's got to cover the A and the B gap. Seth would go, shit. At least he told him. But Jerome gambled all the time and would run around blocks. Why is that important? To run around a block every now and then. You know why? You know why it's important? It's important to set people up. They tried to turn you into Jordan Davis. Yeah. A two-gapper. Jordan Davis, to me, and Jalen Carter, it's more Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, the reason that he got worn down by the end of the year was Matt Patricia's fault. I'll say this to you right here. Jalen Carter is projecting to be, and he was a slam dunk defensive player of the year. Do you know who fucked him over the most on him winning that award? Matt Patricia. When I was told that, when Tracy Rocker told me, when they made that switch, those 2 guys were told to two-gap. And after that, they got worn down and the yardage on the ground went up. Did you notice it? Well, you got a rookie who's at week 12 when you're doing this. This shows you the incompetence of Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, and the organization and the analytics guys. Not to look at Jalen Carter and go like this. This kid's projected to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year award. What they did to him at the end is criminal. He was producing for you. You took all of his production away from him and asked him to be a slug. Two-gap to keep him off the backers. And at the end of the day, they couldn't keep him off the backers. That's why your run yardage was starting to escalate to 135 a game. Absolutely atrocious. And the mentality of putting guys in position to fail was that right there with those 2 defensive tackles. You didn't have the Mike to do it, and you didn't have the 2 tackles who were worn down by then. Hey, Sills, if we had Steve Wilkes as our DC, wouldn't it benefit the younger guys like Davis and Carter to fit their aggressive style? Yeah. Those two guys are aggressive. I'm telling you guys. Jalen Carter, do we not agree? Jalen Carter, week 12 in the National Football League. Was he the slam dunk rookie of the year defensively? Was he not? I didn't think it was. Look, I thought Will Anderson was really good, but I thought Carter was better. Shit, the kid Devin Witherspoon was right there too. I thought it was those three guys, Gonzalez early on when he was up in New England before he got hurt. But when they made that switch, they went to two-gapping. Tracy Rocker goes, we're two-gapping now. He paused on the phone to me. I said, why are you two-gapping with Jalen Carter? You see what he's doing when he gets off the ball? Did you not notice the play of how they were standing in cement and they weren't moving their feet? Because they didn't know what they were doing. Those guys are one-gap players. Get up, size. So let me ask you this. With Jordan Davis, guy runs a 4.78 at 348 pounds. You're going to ask him to be a fire hydrant? Really? That's coaching. That's scheme. That's analytics meddling. You were 10-2. And then you change your entire season up in that one idiotic move. And you ruined two players. Do we not agree Jordan Davis was playing his balls off in the first 9 to 10 games of the year? Do we not agree? Jordan Davis. Do we not agree Davis was playing not quite as good as Carter, but he was good? Remember what everyone says when I start talking about Jordan Davis? Well, Sills, he played great in the first half of the season. What changed? Coordinators, techniques, responsibilities. I can't tell you, man, the worst defense you can ever be put in if you're a defensive tackle, especially an interior tackle, is that 34. Man, I hate that thing. Maybe I'm biased because I couldn't play it. And I didn't. How about this? I didn't want to play it. I didn't want to play it. Man, when I played at Miami with Jimmy, by the way, Jimmy won 3 Super Bowls with that 43. It was the defense that they ran in Dallas was my defense in Miami. They didn't change nothing. Those defensive tackles got up the field. They weren't playing to hold guards off for linebacker. Hey, can you name the linebackers that were on those Dallas teams? You can name the front four, though. Can you really name the linebackers? Ken Norton Sr. or Jr., I mean? Who? That were on those teams back then. It was more about the front four and the cover guys. Stevens goes, Jordan Davis played 30 games. I actually played 12, and I still have more tackles than him. How's that for you, kid? How's that for you? I got 26 tackles. How many does he have in his career? Let's take a look at that. Oh, and by the way, I have the game, and I've posted all the game sheets from NFL Game Day. So don't believe everything you read on the internet. I have the game day from the National Football League. Okay? So don't believe everything you read, kid. Okay, and I'll post them for you later on my show. Let's see here. How many tackles is that guy on? Let's see here. Thought I saw something here too. I think he's got 19. Think he's got 19. Sills, did you guys know Sileo knows Jerome Brown? Did it again, JB. Congratulations to you, man. Have a good day. Sills, do you think Howie has a big move left this offseason? Could be a trade. Could be a trade. Seals, is Fangio smart enough? He's smart. Now, Slagger, he's smart. Seals says he's smart. He is. Well, you're saying they fucked up last year and not do. He's not going to do. Vic Fangio is not going to get fired and replaced. He's not. Let's see here. So no, I don't. Jalen is a 22 in the pocket awareness. That guy's scared of the pass rush. I don't think he's scared of the pass rush. I don't think Jalen plays with fear. I think Jalen plays with apprehension on what he's being asked to do. Seals, I'm hearing Hendricks wants out of Cincinnati because he wants a new contract. And maybe if he bitches and moans and cries the same way that A.J. Owens did, maybe he gets his money. But I doubt it because it's Zipper Brown. And Mike Brown, the owner of the Bengals, is not going to open up that Zipper wallet of his and pay him that money. So could they move him for a potential pick? He's not going to be cheap. He's not going to be cheap. Carter and Mitchell need to be in the forefront of every conversation on defense. Everyone else is just a body. They need to be put in the best situations. I like that, Anthony. Building your defense around those two guys, I do. I really do. Seals, you can't two-gap without good off-ball linebackers. Amen, James. James, that's why the Ravens were so good at it. They had two outstanding linebackers in Patrick Queen and also in Roquan Smith. Seals, with the two draft choices and the return of Gardner Johnson, do you think the Eagles can finally make the secondary a strength on this defense? Hey, Umberto, you know what I really liked about listening to what the scouts said about your draft picks? They were zone cover guys. So that's exactly what control and contain kind of stuff. That's exactly what they're talking about. And so personally, I think that the Cooper DeJean kid is going to be a safety. He's going to be a safety. Maybe Howie could pull a trade with the Bengals and Hendrickson. Duke Tobin and Howie are excellent friends from what I'm told. That was all Matt Patricia Sills. Hey, Sean, you know why? Think about this for a second. Sean, think about how bad it must have been. Do you remember the sequence on how that played out when he got named? What happened do you guys remember what happened that Friday when Patricia was named the coordinator and they went to that screwy ass two-gap defense? And do you remember what happened? What happened? Then he goes, what's our guest today? Phil Simms, 5:30. You guys remember what happened that Friday when they made the change that week, late in the week? Do you remember? There you go, Cosmo. Cosmo's got it. Slay went in for an arthroscopic surgery that he could have did in the offseason. Remember what he said? It was just to clean stuff up. He didn't want to play for him. That's not by design. Not when the coordinator gets fired at the end of the year. Slay didn't want to play for him. He checked out. That's right. Slay out. So you take Carter and Davis's best strengths away. Slay doesn't want to play for you. You want to know what happened? The players refused to play for Matt Patricia. They refused to play. They refused. And the rest of the defense then checked out. You're right. Because, brother, if I've got my top corner and I've got defensive linemen that are getting murdered in the run, what am I doing? Nobody played well. And that's why that thing went downhill. The coaches screwed that whole season up. It was really, the players have to be held accountable too. But I think we're figuring out now what happened. We're figuring out because they took players out of position. Look at what they did with, look at the tea leaves here. Reddick bitched because they were dropping him in coverage and not rushing him. Carter and Davis were asked to two gap. And Slay and Bradbury were asked to do the two things they couldn't do. Even Gannon knew they couldn't do it. And that was play press coverage. Jesus criminy. I hope Vic's not going to fall in that same thing where we're going to tell you to do something. And if you don't do it, you're out, no matter come hell or high water. Because that was a front office decision to do all those things last year. And this is the frustrating thing that I talked to you about if you are a Philly fan. And if you are an Eagle fan and you're a fan of that team and you're in Philly and you're around the area of Philly and you see all this, you're dropping Hassan Reddick. Get this. You think there's any coincidence that you took Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis out of their skill set strengths and playing one gap? Then you take Hassan Reddick out of his skill set strength, which is rushing the passer. Then you take Slay out of his skill set and his strength, which is playing center field. You ask him to press cover. That's why they traded him in Detroit, and that's why Patricia traded him. Because Patricia knew he couldn't play press, but he asked him to press in Seattle. Jesus criminy, man. Every single thing that they did to that defense was self-sabotage. It can't be that difficult for your Philadelphia media to get their heads out of their ass and know that was a Howie Roseman, it was a Nick Sirianni, and a Jeffrey Lurie fuck-up. You know why we know that now? Reddick's gone. For nothing. Don't put, and now you're bringing a 34 in. I did this last night. I'm going, man, if I want Jordan Davis to use that. So get this. You know that thing that you guys saw him do, one of the most remarkable plays I've ever seen. You know what that is? You had Bradbury, Devontae, playing press coverage. It's right, because Slade didn't play. You know the most impressive thing was watching Jordan Davis run Josh Allen down and pull that dude down like it was an ox chasing an antelope. Just pull that big 6'6" kid down by his scruff. That was one of the most impressive plays I've ever seen for a big man. Run like that, never the same. Why? You wore his ass out two-gapping. How dumb are you? I'm resting that guy. If I have to put that guy on the bench for 25 plays and put him in a one gap and then rush him up the field, and he gets me, get this, 2 plays of him at 10 plays is going to get me a sack. 30 plays is going to get me no production. He's just not good. He's just not enough stamina in the kid. He's a big man. This guy's closer to 400 pounds than he is to 300. Okay? I mean, they got fool's gold in the first half. Why? They were one gapping him. Shit, Jordan Davis. Did we not say this? Man, Jordan Davis, Sills, you're going to eat crow here. I was going, shit. Then when Patricia got the job, it was, and when Tracy goes, hey, Sills, gave me a call, and I showed you a picture. Me and him were teammates. And we're two-gapping now. I go, two-gapping? It's a 1980s defense. Yeah, Patricia's got it now. I'm like, what? He's like, we're two-gapping. You're two-gapping? Those kids are going to run out of gas in week 13, dude. Look at them now. Sure enough, 128, 135, team started running that run total up on you. Patricia destroyed the season. Says, I wish Jerome, my favorite all-time player, could see Carter. He'd probably look at you and say, wow, is that me? Not yet, but soon. Thank you, Morgan, for that. And everything you just said is absolutely true. He's got the same skill set. And I said this on draft day. He's got the same skill set things. Quick feet, quick hands, strong, can bull rush, rushes up. Not in that 5 technique, though. You would never, would you, how about this, Morgan? Would you put Jerome Brown in a 5 technique and put him out at end instead of Clyde Simmons? I mean, would you put Jerome in Clyde Simmons' place? You wouldn't. Buddy would never do that. He's not putting him out there. What's the worst thing? Hey, what's the number one thing Tom Brady and Jalen Hurts? What's the number one thing that Jalen Hurts, Tom Brady, what do they struggle on the most? And Brady, I mean, struggle, whatever. What's the one thing they struggle on? There you go, Anthony. Interior pressure. It was never edge rush pressure. It was interior pressure. Hurts too. The blitzing up the middle. Getting to a quarterback. If you got guys in the middle, look at what Michael Parsons brings to the Cowboys. Sorry, 304. What does Parsons bring to the Cowboys? 14 sacks? Non-factor. Anthony goes, Philly media wants to duct tape your mouth, Sills. Oh, I know. Oh, absolutely. They're doing everything to come after Jacob. They're doing everything to come after me. They're doing everything they possibly can. And that's like Ali would say. That's why I know it's working. By the way, Xander, what's the total right now when it comes to our likes? Love to get to 200, folks. If we could, please. Want to start making that a number Monday through Friday if we can. Low number, so we'll start there. Reddick is that guy that plays for the Jets? Yeah, and by the way, where's his extension? 158. We're 42 away, guys. If we could hit that thing, I'd love to get that by the end of the program, 200. Philly media, awful. You know what? I like that guy, McClain, at times. I like that guy, Silsky. I think he does a good job. I think he does a nice job. Rest of them? Oh, John McMullen. John was great last week. Xander and John McMullen were great. I mean, that's how I was getting a lot of my information because my daughter graduated. Then I thought they picked up because I was supposed to help out a little bit, but I couldn't because my daughter graduated. So I thought they did really a great job. They really did a nice job. Hutch. Philly media won't bring you down, Sills. We're all behind you every day. Hutch, that's nice, man. Thank you very much. It means a lot. And if we don't always agree, Hutch, you're the exact person I want in here. I don't want you to always agree. Hey, Hutch, I used to have a rule on my radio show that I did for 32 years. You know what the rule was? You could only call once a week. And I used to tell my call screener, don't put people that agree with me on. That's not good radio. I don't want to talk to people that agree with me. I already know I agree with myself. I want to talk to people who don't agree with me. We would put a few on, some guys that were benchmark people that would call in. But I don't want everyone. Who the hell wants a yes man show? You ever notice most of the guests disagree with me? Those are the people I like on my program. I mean, who wants to talk to yourself in an interview? That's not entertaining. Did you not see that Mark Holmes and Philly 500 thing yesterday? That thing's going to get like 20,000 views. It's got over 700 likes. You know why? That's entertaining. Nobody in Radio World Philadelphia or New York would ever put that on. You know why? They're cookie cutter. Let's do an interview. Let's do this. And that's why, guess what? Sirius XM lost 500,000 subscribers. Radio's dying. And that's why what we're doing now is the new wave future. And that's why the NFL is getting into Amazon and streaming more. And so is Disney. You think there's any coincidence that one of the top companies on the planet, Disney, ESPN and all that, Disney hates ESPN because they're losing subscribers every day. The only thing keeping that thing afloat are the leagues they cover and Pat McAfee and First Take. And First Take. I like Jaws. I like Jaws too, man. Seals, I would hire you for head of player personnel for Eagles. I've been offered a job in that department before. Amy Trask was on this program a couple of years ago, and she said that Al Davis offered him a job to work with Ken Herrick when the Raiders were in Oakland. That's a fact. I was also offered a job when Butch ran the Cleveland Browns, and I was also offered a job in, let's see, next time we get Dave Wanstead on, with the Miami Dolphins to come to work as a scout. I'd put too much effort into broadcasting, and it wasn't so woke then. It was good. I was making a ton of money. So, right? How was on McAfee today, but I missed it. Oh, I don't really watch the show, but I know he does well. I talked to Pat a lot. He hates ESPN. The only thing he likes about ESPN is every Tuesday he gets a direct deposit. He makes $17 million. I'd like it too. Unlike A.J. Owens. I really like the Patriots. Wait a minute. The Eagles are paying you 32, guy. They're paying you 32. Wait, is First Take still a thing? No. Undisputed is not a thing. Sills Holmes at 500 was gold. Oh, I liked it too, man. We're going to try to see if we can do that every week. Hey, guess what it does too? Guess what it does? I hate to admit this. You know what Xander tried to do today? Sills defending the Eagles in Jalen and Philly versus Mark Holmes. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And I was like, yeah, I know, man. There was a couple times because they started talking shit on Jalen. I had to keep quiet. But then when he went into Dak, I'm like, hang on. Dak? I mean, Kirk Cousins is a white Dak Prescott. Those guys are the same dudes. Those guys are the same dudes. You like Xander? He's nice? No, he ain't. You should have saw the text he sent me the other day. Woke me up out at 3 o'clock in the morning, man. I was like, what? My wife goes, I agree with him. I was like this. Don't do that to me, okay? Hey, I looked at my phone. I go, can you believe this? She goes, of course I can. How many of those text messages do you think we've got? I got to hey, before I take a timeout, let me tell you one of the ultimate stories of all time. This is my wife, phenomenal producer. Barb, you're going to dig this. One of the absolute greatest producers of all time. So I get fired in Miami. Google it. 11 months I was there. I raised ratings. They went from an 0-2 to like 6 shares or some shit. But I was killing I was killing the Dolphins. I said LeBron. They were like, LeBron will never leave Miami. And I'm like, LeBron won't be here in 2 years. Of course I was right. Like she always says, hey, great to be right out of work. Sue, get this. So I get fired. And this is right before I went to Los Angeles, San Diego Mighty 1090, which was the home of Wolfman Jack, who we ended up beating his ratings on the all-time station, 100,000 watt station, went all the way up to Sam. Anyway, so I'm laying down like this. I look up. My wife walks in the room. She goes, Xander, listen to this shit. My wife walks in. She goes, how you doing? I've been out of work about a month. Oh, yeah, out of work about a month. I think I got a job 2 months later. So my wife walks in. She goes like this. Just so you know, my wife's not a yes person. She watches, oh, you watched that rant, Kyle? What'd you think of it? She walks in and she says this, it'd be a god dang shame if this is how this thing ended for you. I'm laying there going like this. I close my eyes. She goes, what a shame. All that talent, how good you are, people you know. What a shame it has to end like this. Walked right out the room. I'm like this. I almost started crying. Oh my God. I almost started crying. I'm laying in my bed like this. I'm laying in a bed like this. I think she found, because I was in the guest room. And she goes, and I'm laying here, and she walks in. I look over her. She goes, and I think I had that sourpuss face on, and I'm looking over, and I go back like this. She goes, what a shame. What a shame. It's got to end like this. Can't control yourself, can you? Hey, you can't control yourself. You just say whatever on your mind. You don't play the game. Yeah, her and Xander want me to play some game. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. And I'm sitting there going like this. What a shame to end your career like this. Oh, man. Yeah. But see, I told you, I need people in my life like that. I do. Oh. Oh man, I'm being forced into shit I don't want. Oh man, good night. Sills, I've learned in my 28 years, woman can never be wrong. Hey Kyle, I've been with my wife for 33 years. How's that for you? And believe me, I told you this before. You want to be fat, fed, and loved, marry a fat chick. You want to be miserable, beat up, and a towel boy, you marry a hot chick. Guess where I am? Well, I know you're looking at I ate the guy my wife married. I ate him. Let me take a time out. Don't forget Phil Simms at 5:30. Look, he just says Sills. But wait, my top 32 preseason quarterbacks. James, get ready, my friends. How you doing? All right. That's coming up. Hit the like button, please. We're trying to get to 200 likes. Keep it here. National Football Show.